Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really provocative vision for the future of universities. And what's interesting is it doesn't come from an academic. It comes from a playwright who basically argues the walls of the university are already crumbling down.
So this is the big idea we're going to unpack today. This isn't a story about some kind of slow, gradual decline. Not at all. It's about a sudden, fundamental shift. A change that, in this telling, has pretty much already happened. All right, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to move through 5 key parts. First, we'll define this old fortress university. Then, we'll look at a really cool parallel from another industry. We'll relive a recent crisis, meet the new challengers on the block, and finally, we'll try to imagine what's actually left in the ruins. Okay, so let's start with the main character in our story, the Fortress University. This idea of a closed institution. The concept here is actually pretty simple, but wow, it's powerful. The idea is that traditional universities for a long time have operated like these walled-off strongholds. They're built to keep things in and to keep the rest of the world out. So what are the walls of this fortress really made of? Well, first, there's a massive investment in physical buildings, the campus itself. Second, you've got this kind of insular culture, one that's not totally open to the outside world. And third, it's this deep reliance on a campus model that, let's be honest, hasn't changed all that much for centuries. Now, to understand how a fortress this strong could even begin to fall, the story points to another industry that we've all seen get completely turned upside down, music. And the parallel here is, well, it's pretty striking. It all starts with a simple observation, just walking through town. The playwright noticed that all these old record stores had just vanished. And in their place, cranes putting up shiny new student housing. So you have one physical industry completely gone, while another is just doubling down on bricks and mortar. And that brings up a really big question.
And there it is. That's the core question, isn't it? If a digital revolution could basically wipe out entire streets of CD shops, why are we so sure that the huge, expensive physical footprint of a modern university is somehow immune to all of that?
You can see the parallel laid out so clearly here. Music retail? It relied on physical stuff in physical shops. It got disrupted by digital streaming. Higher ed? It relies on physical learning on a physical campus. So, is it about to be disrupted by online learning and AI? The argument is that it's really not a matter of if, but when. Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. The narrative points to a very real, very recent stress test of the Fortress University, the global lockdown, and it's framed here almost like a medieval siege. All of a sudden, those thick fortress walls became a massive liability. The campus was essentially breached, and it forced everyone outside the gates into this huge, totally unplanned experiment in remote learning. But here's the crucial point. This whole pivot to online wasn't treated like some great evolution. It was seen as an emergency patch. The goal was just to survive, to copy-paste the old model online, not to actually reimagine what education could really be. And what happened the second the crisis started to fade? The drawbridge was lowered, and everyone just rushed right back inside. And according to this story, that was a huge missed opportunity. A chance to learn from the siege and build something new was just ignored. But here's the twist in the story. While the fortress was busy patching up its walls and getting back to business as usual, a completely new set of challengers was gathering strength right outside the gates. And this isn't about one university competing with another anymore. Look at these players. You've got global consulting firms like Accenture, tech giants like Microsoft, and they're moving directly into the education and certification game. They're creating their own credentials, completely bypassing the traditional university system. And hey, check out what's happening to that first wave of online learning platforms. The stock prices for companies like 2U and Coursera are really struggling. It suggests that even their model is getting outmaneuvered by the tech giants who are already so deeply plugged into the corporate world. So what's the engine driving this whole new assault? It's one thing: artificial intelligence. This is not just about putting lectures online anymore. This is about AI creating personalized, on-demand learning that's faster, cheaper, and way more tuned in to what employers are actually looking for. So after the siege and the rise of these new disruptors, what's left? Let's take a look at what the final scene of this play might look like. A little glimpse into the ruins. The future envisioned here isn't total destruction, but a radical transformation. A lot of the learning just moves online. The campus itself, it doesn't disappear, it just becomes a luxury good, a premium experience for a select few. Think about it like a record store today that survives by selling super expensive vinyl to collectors. It's a nostalgic, niche product, while everyone else just streams their music. And all those massive student buildings, they get repurposed for completely new things, like co-living spaces. And so, we are left with this question. Is the university of the future destined to become a beautiful, nostalgic ruin? Maybe a luxury good for the wealthy? Or could it transform into something else entirely? According to this vision, the siege is already happening, and the final chapter of the story is still being written.